Hey guys, good morning. Very less people have joined, but we will start now. Let me share my screen and then we'll start it off. Okay. Now today we are going to perform some labs wherein we are going to use RDS, or we will create an RDS where we will use a database. We will use an RDS service where we will use Aurora or MySQL, anything. Let's say MySQL. Because nodes I will share you with Aurora DB. So right now I will show you for MySQL and notes I will share you for Aurora DB so that you have both, you can understand that they are exactly similar. Now I will create an EC2 machine. Now we are going to connect them together. From the EC2 machine, I'm going to access this RDS server. Okay, I'm going to perform the activities, or I will connect to the RDS server. That's a role of solution architect. But how to do it, we are going to check it today. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's start it off. Go to RDS. Okay. Here you will see we have a DB instances, database instances there. So we need to create a database instance. So I will click on this DB instances. And I have an option of creating a database. So I will be first going to the RDS. I will just have a look. I will just search it from the top. There I will click on databases and create a database. Remember to remove or to delete the database after you are done with the lab. Create a database. Now, you will see there are two major types of database creation methods. One is a standard create and one is a easy create. When I say the standard create is basically you will have all the options to create the database. If you see, when I scroll down, you have a lot of options when you're creating the database. Whereas in the case of easy create, you will see we have only limited options of creating the database. Most of the options are being configured as the default options by AWS. Whereas when I'm creating a standard, we have more control over the database and we will have more configuration. I can make changes to more configuration of the database itself. So for now, okay, for now, they are the paid one. For now, I will be going for the standard create database. Now we have Aurora DB, PostgreSQL, MariaDB, anyone you can use it. Some like for example, Oracle, Microsoft, IBM DB2, these are paid one. So you will get an initial billable itself as soon as you use it. Most widely used in any company right now is MySQL, which is being used the most in any of the companies right now. And it's most, and whenever a person joins a company, the first thing which is being taught to a fresher when a fresher joins a company is MySQL only. So majorly every developer knows MySQL, which you also might have to use it very frequently. For now, let's go ahead with MySQL. Every other you're using will be same, but if you're using Oracle or these three, then you will have that extra billables in your account. Please avoid using it because there could be the like would be the licensing cost which will be added up. For now, I will be using MySQL. Okay. Now, I personally have used like Aurora, MySQL, Maria, and Postgres, and Oracle, and all of them only. But these last three I have used little less. In my current project, I'm using Postgres SQL. Okay, configuration is exactly the same. You can normally also create a machine and install any of these tools or any of these engines, or you can use RDS as well. So when you are really concerned about the performance, at that point of time, you can go for Aurora DB. When you are really concerned about the reliability and performance, then you can go for the MySQL. Your developer will go and use it. You just have to configure it. You don't have to decide which database you need to use. And your role is just to create this RDS service and share the endpoint with the developer. Rest all developer will take care of it, like all the connections and every other thing. But yeah, I will show you how to connect so that you have a pretty good idea about connection as well. Okay. For now, I will be using MySQL. In the addition, we will go with the MySQL edition, and these are the engine versions, like versions of MySQL which we are using. You can use any versions of your choice. You can use some old version also, let's say 5.7.44, or you can use the latest version also. Will not make any kind of difference here. If you want some extra support, let's say some support from AWS, okay, then you can go for the extended support, which is one of the paid offering by AWS. You need to pay some extra amount, okay, but if you use it, you will get the support from AWS. If you're stuck somewhere or if you're facing some issues, you need more resources and you don't have that availability, then you can go for extended support. But this support, if you're enabling it, you need to take a prior permission from the client, written permission from the client itself, so that you don't face any kind of issues at the later stage. Now, in the templates, we have majorly three templates which is there. One is a production template, second one is a testing template, and the third one is a free tier template. Now, what is the production, what is the development and testing, and what is a free tier? Free tier is basically like when you're just practicing. When you're practicing, you can go for free tier. It basically it's free. You get 750 hours of free usage of RDS. But some features like multi-AZ deployment is not there, and AZ deployment is not present. Okay. So, and the second one is development and testing, which is used for development and testing teams, wherein performance is same as wherein performance is good, which is similar to what we will be using in production, but downtime is not guaranteed. Uptime is not guaranteed, which means in this case, it is a possibility that your application might be down for 10 minutes, 15 minutes per day also. So it's not guaranteed. You will get the same performance as production environment, but the uptime is not guaranteed. So when uptime is not guaranteed, at the end of the day, it is highly possible that your application, or when you're developing and testing, your application might not be available for 1 hour also. You cannot go to AWS and say that my application is not up. And this is where, like, a lot of people, what they were doing, they were using development. Billing difference was there. So they use development and testing in the production environment also. So AWS made it very clear in one of the articles that we are not guaranteeing the uptime in this, which means if your application goes down, we will not be, you cannot come and claim it to us saying that the application is down, make it up. We don't have a proper mechanism for disaster recovery if you are using development and testing as a template when you're launching the database system. But when I'm creating a production, it comes with high availability. So it's so so performance is best. Performance is good here also. This is good. And uptime is 99.99% guaranteed. So companies now have to be very clear at a point that what they want to use at what scenarios. So if they want to launch the application in the real time, production means a real time. If you open Netflix right now, it's an application which is being launched in the real time. If you go for development and testing, let's say this basically instance is in, like, when it is going to launch for development and testing, you will have the best performance. But the uptime is not guaranteed. So tomorrow, if your application goes down, you cannot go and tell the AWS saying that my application is down for next 10 minutes. I have lost this business. AWS says this very clearly that we ask you to do it for development and testing purposes with the clear instructions saying that if it goes down, we don't have to, or we are not concerned about it. Free tier is only meant for practicing purposes. When you are practicing in the real time, you can use free tier. Only some things are not available. Rest everything else will remain the same. Okay. The resources which is really costing you some amount will not be available. In the case of free tier, rest everything will remain the same here. So let's say if I click here, see in the production, okay, it's not coming up because of the version which we are using up. Okay, but yeah, let's say if I'm using this development and testing, see, if I scroll at the bottom, using MySQL, no? Give me a minute. See, the free tier is gone if you're using Oracle. Okay, let it be. So I'm using MySQL here. Now in the MySQL, you can use any one of them of your choice. Let's say if I'm using free tier, I don't want you to have some extra billables. You will have, now when you scroll down, you will have an option of multi-AZ, multiple availability zone. Multiple availability niti zones. Now, what is a multi-AZ means? From the name, what do you think is the meaning of multi-AZ, guys? From the name itself, what is a multi-AZ? Okay, amazing answers. Multiple availability zones. So we have, it refers to the deployment strategy where the database okay, are replicated across multiple availability zones AZ within a region in cloud computing. Okay. So okay. What will be the cost of for development and testing MySQL if there is an experiment for 1 or 2 hours? Not much, maximum like 50 cents, 40 cents, something like that. Okay. But yeah, you will have that billable in your account. You have to pay the bill, otherwise your account would be disabled. But it will not be very much. Now, what exactly happens in the case of multi-AZ? Please take a note of it once, then I will explain you. Okay, I'm deleting it now. This is an important concept because you will get some questions in the certification exams. Now, what exactly happens? This multi-AZ works in a region. It is not a multi-region. It's not like one backup is being created or one replica is being created in Mumbai and another in North Virginia. No, it does not happen in that way. In the same region, same region, let's say we have 4 availability zones. This is availability zone 1A, availability zone 1B, this is 1C and 1D. 4 availability zones we have in a region. Any region you can pick it up. There are 4 availability zones which is there. Now let's say you created an RDS. You create an RDS in, let's say, 1A. Okay. Now the backup, there's a replica would be created up in 1B, let's say. Now this is a standby. This is the standby database. Which is basically, when I say standby, or I can call it as a secondary database. Anything, whatever you feel like, you can call it. This is my primary database. Normally, primary database and a secondary database. One important point here is if you're working for any banking client for India, okay, this government has banned this part. You cannot create this standby directly. There is some mechanism associated. I've never worked for a banking client, but one of my friend is working for one of the banks. Okay, and there he was telling me this thing. If you have heard about small finance bank is there, but yeah. So now 1A and 1B is there, which is a primary. This will act as a primary database. This will act as a standby database. Now, what exactly is primary and what exactly is standby? So all the communications will happen with the primary database itself. Let's say my server is there, which has an application running. It will talk to the database, and that database is basically the primary database. We are not doing anything on the standby. It's a standby. it is only being accessible. It is only accessed during emergency. Even you will not even be able to enter inside the standby database. And whatever is getting replicated in the primary, or whatever data is coming in the primary database, it's replicated in the standby in the real time. It is connected to the primary database in real time. Okay, it is connected to the primary database in the real time. It is replicated over 4 AZ in this example, or one single backup, because every backup has double cost. So let's say if this particular primary is costing me $500, if I create one standby, it will cost me $1,000. Okay. Now what happens is, okay, real time means data sync will be there. Data sync in real time. In real time will be present. Now, read replica is a different concept, Gopal. Please do not mix up the things. Right? Please do not mix up the things. Now, what happens here is, the primary database and the secondary database is there. They have been connected together. Let's say, due to some reason primary database goes down. Okay, just a minute. Now, sorry. So due to some reason, primary database, okay, is failed. Due to some reason, the primary database failed. Okay. So within like 60 to 120 seconds, let's say till the time it is getting failed. Okay. The standby database, what happens is the standby database is promoted to become the new primary database. Okay, this is what it will do. Basically, something goes wrong with this database. Okay, something goes wrong with the database here. Okay, now this standby will become primary. This standby will become primary during that, like it will become primary. Now the failover is going on. So RDS will not create a new standby during the failover. It will try to recover this. Okay. So the standby instance is being kept in sync with the primary throughout the synchronous replication. And once the failover occurs, the standby becomes the new primary, and RDS will start creating a new standby. It could be in the same region or same availability zone also, or a different availability zone. So now it will create a new standby database, okay, to manage this, to ensure that we are using multi-AZ protection is there. So now again, it will create a new standby. A new standby would be there now, which will be in the read rep, or which will be in the which will be in the sync, or this thing sync with the primary database. So it will use synchronous replication will be there. It will be happening in the real time. So due to any reason, if primary database fails, okay, so I will say RDS does not create a new standby during failure. This complete process takes 60 seconds, 60 to 120 seconds. So RDS does not create a new standby during the failover. Okay. The standby instance is continuously kept in sync with the primary through synchronous replication. Once failover occurs and the standby becomes the new primary, okay, Amazon RDS will automatically create a new standby. RDS will create a new standby instance in different or even the same availabilities. This is what happens. You got it right? Please confirm. So failover to standby occurs in 1 or 2 minutes. Okay. And a new standby instance is being created behind the scene after the failover is completed. And this process happens in parallel while the new primary is being running up. It will done automatically. Yes, we can say that, Roshan. So users experience downtime of 60 seconds. No, there is no downtime here. There is no downtime here because, see, how there is a downtime? See, you tell me this thing. Let's suppose there is one primary. Okay. There's a primary. This is my primary database. Now failover occurs. This primary is gone. Now immediately the second standby will act as a primary now. Automatically it will happen. Now it will be connected. Meanwhile, it will create on the backend scene, it will create a new standby. So now I have a multi-AZ which is again enabled, no? Okay. If it's multi-AZ, isn't it supposed to create a new standby by the other availability zone in the case of failover? Yes, Saurabh, it is creating a new one only. It is creating a new standby only. But it need to ensure that when the primary fails, my traffic should, or people should not experience an error. So it will be pointed now to the standby one. The standby will become a primary database, and a standby will be created up. A new standby will create in next 60 seconds, which is not a very big number. Okay. But failover itself will take, yeah, when the failover will take, when error will start coming up, people will automatically be redirected to the primary. The standby will immediately become primary. Okay. As soon as failover starts happening immediately, okay, as soon as the website start giving an error, the application start giving the error, the standby will become the primary database. But 1 minute, yeah, during 1 minute on the back end, when the failover is completed, then it will start creating the this thing, the backup, which is the yes. If again during the failover, this again comes back, so this will again become standby only. The standby will be primary only. It will not shift back. It will the old one come back in next 60 seconds. This will now be the standby itself. Okay. Please take a note of it and tell me if you are able to get it. Thank you. Now, what are the benefits? This question you will 100% get it in your certification. Certification 100%. Till now, I have given it 4 times. Every time I have received the question. If A1 recovers, then okay, this will not create and it will become standby. Okay, it will become standby. It will not change primary back to standby. The primary will be now be the primary only, but the previous one, which was a primary, will now be a standby database. Okay. If you have not taken the screenshot, please take it. Yes, third one will not be created up only, no? That's the reason. During the failover, after failover, it will first of all will not be live. If it gets live also, it will be deleted automatically. Okay. I'm talking about during the failover. When this is not created up, during that time only, within 60 seconds, it comes live. I'm talking about that period. Okay. Yeah, failover, it takes some time. Okay. Yeah, it's a failover time, Janardhan. Okay, now, if you go back, now, first of all, we will not be having, or we cannot access this standby replicas. Okay, it's being done automatically. You will even not recognize that this is happening up until unless you see the logs. Personally speaking, until you see the logs or you have set some alarm on the back end, you will not even recognize that this happened to your system. Okay. Okay. Now I will be selecting, like I can here in the free tier, I don't have an option, but yes, we do have three things here. Single DB where there is no standby. No standby. This is one standby. Some people, some companies are really concerned about it. They say multi standby. Standby. So during this time, there would be two standbys. If you're selecting multi AZDB cluster, you have two readable standby. If you see, there are two readable standby. Okay. Whereas in this multi AZDB instance, there is one standby which is there and there is no standby. Here your pricing will be increased by three times. Here pricing would be increased by two times. Here there's a normal pricing which is there. Let's say if it's costing you $100, here it will be same thing will be costing you $200, and here the same thing will be costing you $300. So database cost will suddenly increase in these cases. Okay. Are you able to get it? May I ask what kind of errors user experience? User will not experience any errors. Okay. 1 millisecond they might get, or they might not even experience that. Loading time might take some more time, but 1 or 2 milliseconds, the standby will become primary. So personally speaking, user will not have that any experience altogether. Amazon is never down, right? Or Netflix is never down. There also failovers happen. But yes, they ensure that your availability is always there. What kind of errors user experience when DB falls? Okay. Normally you are saying that when a database fails, what kind of error? See, if there is no database, only the front end will be, the design might be visible. Okay. Now, if you are working on JDBC Java based applications, the front end will be visible. And there is no backend. You will not be able to log in. You will not be able to sign up. You will not be able to see some product list if it's an e-commerce website. Everything which is coming from the database will not be working up for you. So it's kind of an experience where you will see that first of all, it is very easy for hackers to enter inside your system. That's one of the very big issues. Second thing is people will not be able to perform any activity because every activity comes up from the database. Your complete structure of the database will be changed. Or if you're talking about Python based application or a PHP based application, the website will start showing an error. That page is not unable to load, something like that. Okay. First has a readable standby and second does not. Viresh, where? This one? This one? Both are same only. They might have not written it, but it's just readable only. Okay. Okay. Here also it's a readable standby, which is being present now. Okay, perfect. Let's go down. Now in the settings, I will be now putting up the settings wherein I will say that what would be my database name. I can select the database name. It creates a DB cluster with a primary database instance with two readable standby DB instance. We have that readable, like we can read them. With each DB instance in the different availability zone, provides high availability data redundancy and increase the capacity. Creates a primary DB instance and a standby DB instance in a different availability zone. Provides high availability data redundancy. Standby instance doesn't support connection for workloads. I will just cross check it why it is or what exactly is readable exactly means here. Because I was in the current impression that like both of them, is readable only. They might have removed that readability to reduce the cost for this. Okay, we will check it out. Okay, I will check it out and update you. I was in a different impression. It was something which we don't use it very frequently, but yeah, I will just cross check it once and we'll update you. Now, here, now, let's move ahead. We have the DB instance identifier. Now, what is a DB instance identifier is, DB instance identifier will be the name of your database. Like the way you were giving the name of your EC2 machines, you can give the name of your database also. Let's say my DB1. Any name you can give it. Here, just a minute. Madhuri, let me answer your question little later on. I have already explained all these stuffs. Now I cannot really roll back and again explain all these things. I will answer you in the break. Now here in the credential settings, we have basically two things. Master username, I can give some name and the password by which I can connect to my database. Or like I can do it by two ways. I can do a self-managed and I can use AWS Secret Manager, wherein RDS will generate the password for you and manage it throughout the life cycle using AWS Secret Managers, which is there. So you can select any one of them. If you select this, AWS Secret Manager will be saving it for you. Or else if you're selecting self-manage, earlier only self-manage was there. So my notes will have the self-manage one. So I will use it so that there is no confusion later on. Now I can put up this also, we will do it later on. Now, for now, I will just put some password, the which I can remember it. Okay. Why it is showing me it's not. Okay. Let it be. Okay. And my username is admin and the password is okay. I will set a password. I will put it here also. Now, I have the instance configurations. Like it basically defines in what kind of machine my database. It will define in what machine my database would be created. In what type of machine my database would be created up. It is being defined in the instance. What is my instance configuration? In what type of machine my database. Now, this machine is AWS managed. But AWS is asking you that what on the back end, what kind of machine should I create or what kind of server should I be creating up? Where your database should be managed. So here, you can see there are three classes: standard, memory optimized, burstable. M class. Okay, M class is like if you are working on little bigger machines, you need big machines which have more vCPU, more RAM. Then you can go for the standard one. Memory optimized, you get more memory. Like if I show you. So if I go for more you will see 16 GB, 2 vCPU, and you can increase it to 96 vCPU and 768 GB RAM. Your billables will increase drastically in these cases. Earlier, we used to get amount also at the bottom, but they have removed it. Okay, burstable classes here. These are the normal classes which we have. Okay, so I will suggest you to use free tier only, and we will use burstable class where T3 micro will be there with 2 vCPUs and 1 GB of RAM. So the machine on which this database, this MySQL database engine will be installed It will come with 2 vCPU and 1 GB of RAM. So that's the reason we will be using this specific type of database, like this type of machine. So there would be a machine inside it. The database engine will be installed, but we will be accessing that particular machine via endpoint. We don't have access to that specific machine. Now, what type of storage you need for that machine, which is being managed by AWS? You can go for the normal SSD, provision, IOPS, magnetic. We have already discussed about these things. For now, I will be going with the default one. I can increase it to 6144 GB, which is a maximum limit to it. And minimum is 20 GB. And the best part about it is it comes with the auto scaling. Auto scaling means if I select this option and enable the auto scaling, in the case if this 20 GB is going to be full, or if I'm utilizing this 20 GB, automatically the storage will be auto scaled. Okay, and it will increase to 1000 GB. It will keep auto scaling. Okay, it uses elastic block storage here. It's a root storage. Storage is basically, it's a root storage, which is EBS. So ultimately, there is a database is saying that when the data RDS will be created, I will be installing the MySQL engine in a server which has some storage, right? It need to be installed in some storage only. So what kind of storage you need? So you can generally in the companies, when we work in the real time, I'm talking about my experience, you might have a different experience altogether, but we are using 200 GB here. Like I'm currently have taken up more than like 10 to 12 projects till now. In 4 to 5 projects, we were using EC2 machines and we installed the SQL to reduce the cost. And right now, we are using this RDS setup only, where we are using 200 GB and we have enabled auto scaling. In that, in auto scaling is there of 200 GB only. So whenever this 200 GB get full, automatically next 200 GB comes up for me. So that's the best part about it. I don't really have to worry about it. So 200, like I can just keep it as minimal for now. I don't want to have any kind of billables. Okay. But generally in your companies, you have to discuss how much is the minimum requirement, because more the storage which you are using up in the companies, more the billables they will be there for your client. And at the end of the day, client might raise a question that I need to reduce the billables. So this is one of the scope for you, wherein you can reduce the storage size to reduce the billables as well. Okay. I can enable the auto scaling where 1000 GB is the size where it will auto scale it to. You can minimum is 22 GB and maximum it can go up to 6144 GB itself. So that can be taken care of. Now here in the connectivity, we have two computing connectivities. Now what it is saying is, if you have an existing EC2, let's say your company comes to you saying that we have the application, your developer comes to you, say that we have a machine running, EC2 is running, and we have an application. Can you please configure the database for us? We have a application running inside a machine. Can you configure the database for us? So I can connect to EC2 compute resource as well. So for an existing machine, I can connect it as well. I can connect this RDS with the existing machine also. Okay. Or else, if I don't have any specific machine, I don't have any machine here. Okay. Then I will say do not connect. I will connect it later on. It does not mean that you will never be able to connect it. Here it means that we will connect to the EC2, this RDS, or we will access this RDS from machine, from EC2 later and connect right now. We're connecting right now. Now here, there are two types of network types is there. which is IPv4 and dual stack. So if you are using only IPv4 address, then you can use it. Otherwise, if you have if you're using IPv6, you can go for the IPv6 as well. Okay. Okay. Now, so we have a question, since we host a website in S3, is it possible to attach RDS to S3? David, as I've already said, the website which we are hosting up on S3 is a static website, which does not have any database. We really did a lot of discussion on that point, right? So it does not have any database. So how will you connect if it is not compatible, right? That's the reason you cannot host a dynamic website on S3. Okay. Now it's a network. Later on, when we will create our own custom network, you can use your own custom network as well. So for now, I will be using a default VPC, which is there, which is a default network. Subnet also, I can make it default. Now there is two things which you will see: public access, yes or no. Now, what is this public access? Please do not go with the name public access. It does not mean that the public will get access to your database. There is not even a single use case wherein I can tell you that public should have access to your database. Not even a single use case is there. So please do not mean or do not think that public means anyone in the world can go and access my database. Why will I even share my database with anyone in the world? Okay, why I will make my system not much secure? Okay. Now, guys, you have to listen to me very carefully. Just a minute. Okay, so we have an option, do not connect to EC2 compute resource, which means I don't have any machine. Okay, I don't have any existing machine. I will create an existing, I will create a EC2 machine later on and connect that machine with the RDS. So it means as of now, I don't have, or I don't need to connect, I don't want to connect any EC2 machine. I don't have any EC2 machine where my front end is running, where my application is running. Okay. So I don't have any EC2 machine where my application is running. I will connect the RDS. I will connect the RDS with the EC2 later. See, there is a application, there is a RDS, which is there. There's an application which is being running up inside the EC2 machine. Ultimately, this application will be talking to the RDS. Am I right? Yes or no? Okay. This application need to talk to RDS. So your EC2 should be communicating with the RDS so that your application, a developer can configure this application to do read and write operation on the database. Am I right? Yes or no? Now, if you don't have this machine, if you're first setting up this RDS, then you will select this. But if you select this, connect to existing machine, if there is any existing machine, it will ask me any EC2 machine you have. But right now, there is no EC2 machine. So if you select this also, later on also we can connect it. I will show you this. Okay. Why should RDS worry about the client customers? You're talking about this, do not connect. Why RDS worry about its client customers? Like what answer should I give here? Like this is one of the options which is there, and now why it is doing it, I'm really not sure. Like, yeah, EC2, it makes your complete setup easier. No, the more difficult the setup is, more difficult usage would be there, right? Sometimes it happens that a solution architect or the person who is setting up these things does not have an access of EC2s, cannot access the EC2 machines. In those cases, you cannot go inside the machine and set up the things for you. So at that point of time, if you get an option here directly itself, it is easier for you to set up the whole process. AWS wants to make the thing easy. So that's one of the reasons. Okay. Which I personally feel. Now, in the case of public access, now can I move ahead? Yeah. In the case of public access, we have, what does it mean? It means that we can connect to the database. We can connect to the database from public. Okay, we can connect to the database, not from the public, from other network. From other network. Let's say from your laptop, which is running on a different network, you want to connect to your database. If you say yes, you will be able to connect it. But in real time, we don't use it. We do not use it in real time because it's risky. So if someone get a hold of your username and the password, that person can also connect to your database from any laptop across the world or any network. If you say public access as yes, which means we can connect to the database from any other network, which means from your personal laptop as well, you can connect to the database, which is very risky. To database, which is risky. When I say no, it means we cannot connect the database from outside the network. We cannot connect the database from outside the network. So if you are outside the network, then you will not be able to connect to the database. Okay. Okay, which means, let's say if you want to even connect it to your laptop in your office, you are connected to the VPN. Now, your network of your laptop is same as the network of your system. We call it a connected VPC. So always you should be going with yes, no only, sorry. This we will not be using in the real time. Always go with the no only, because we cannot connect from outside the network. Within the network, you will be able to connect it. So within, you have created a network, you're working on a network. If you are within that network and you want to connect to the database, you will be able to connect it if you say no. So in the real-time scenarios, yes is something which I have personally never used. Okay. It's always no, which you are going to use it in almost every kind of projects. But if, let's say, your database is not very important, or it could be some basic database which is there, you can go for yes also, but I don't find it much reasons why I should be going with yes here. Because everyone in the office is connected to a VPN network, which is running on the same network as my AWS account. I will be connected to my client VPN, which is again using the same network. So I can connect to VPN and I can connect to my database from my laptop also. It makes my system or my connections much more secure. Okay. So when you're using a not so important data and you don't have a proper infrastructure, when you're running or when you're working on a very small companies, they don't have a proper infrastructure. They might use yes, but personally speaking, as soon as the client will come to know about this part, client will really ask the questions, because there is no extra cost involved in using no here. It just depends on the infrastructure side. Okay. Now in the VPC, the security across the machines, which will be created up. I will create a new security group only. Okay. So security group. So to access my databases, so there is, I will say my RDS security group, which is of 4th October. Okay. Just for everything, let's keep it as default only. Okay. You can enable the enhanced monitoring, which basically means that the CloudWatch will be monitoring each and every process which is being happening up. But for now, since we have not done the CloudWatch, we will just create the database. Okay, let me use the latest one. There is some. It will take around 5 to 10 minutes to get this database created up. Okay, it takes some time to get it created. Okay, after it is being created, we will move ahead. Let's have a break now. I hope you have understood till this point. I will give you the notes for it. Okay. Okay, guys, so we can start it off now. So you can see that we have this database, MyDB1, which is created up, which is in the available state right now. Okay. Now I will be connecting this database from a machine. Let's say I will connect it from a Windows machine. Okay, I want to connect. Most of the time, the developers are using Windows machines only, like in their personal systems. Okay, personal, I mean to say they will be connected to the client VPN. So it would be the client machine. So how to use it during that time, or how to connect to this particular database? So if you open this database, you will see there's an endpoint. If you click on this MyDB here, you will see there's an endpoint which is there. So from this endpoint, I'm going to connect to this database. It connects via 3306, which is the default port of my SQL and Aurora DB. For now, I will be going to the EC2 machine. I will click on this EC2 here. I will click on the instances. Now, when I click on the instances, you will see I have an option of launching a new instance. So I will be launching a new instance here by clicking on this launch instances. Click on this launch instances here. Now, the first option which will come up is launch the machine. So I can just say or I will just make some small changes first of all in the security group, which is being created up. So I will go to the EC2 again. Now I can either use a different security group or the same security group which is there. It's completely your choice. Okay. It will not make any kind of difference. But the only thing which you need to remember is if you're creating a different security group for the EC2, you have to enable 3306 port. And in the same security group, I have to make a small change. October 4th. This is the security group. Okay. In the security group, I need to edit the inbound rule. And see, it is only allocated for it is only allocated for a specific source. I can delete and I can add the source again. Okay. I will say sources from any location. And then, or I can give the IP address of the machine, which is there. That is also being possible, the private IP. But as of now, I will be using the same machine only. There is no, HTTP is required. The reason is in this machine, I will need HTTP. The reason being is because I need to install some softwares inside the machine so that I can connect to the database. Then we will also allow RDP access, remote desktop protocol. I will show you on Windows machine first of all. Okay. So I will select all three of them and save the rule. Now I can simply go to the instances. I will go to the launch instances. Now I'm creating the machine from which I'm going to connect to the RDS, which we have created. So my RDS machine. Any name you can give it. This is the machine or my application machine. Here, I can use Windows. I will show you for Windows first. So we can go for Windows here. You can go for T2 micro. I'm using little bigger because I don't want to really wait in the class when the things will happen. So I will go for T3 medium. It will not be under the free tier. There will be some billables here, but yes, it's absolutely fine. I will pay the billables. You can go for the T2 micro, wherein no billables would be there, but you will find some lags. It comes with only 1 GB of RAM. Here it's 4 GB of RAM. So there will be a big difference in the speed you will see. Here in the key pair, I can create a new key pair. Windows key. And I can create a key pair. So I will be creating this Windows key PAM. This is a file which is there, which we get it. Now, when I scroll down, I will select the existing key pair. I will select the key for which I'm working for or which I'm using. I will say the same key pair, the RDS, the same security group, which I have created while creating this database. So if you see this database, I'm using the same security group. If you're using a different also, it's not a problem. The documentation which I will be sharing you is using a different security group so that you have 100% idea about different ways of doing it. Okay. In the different in the documentation, I will show there is like it has shown the way in which this is a different one, and in the machine we are using a different security group. The only thing which you need to take care of is you need to allow Aurora DB, the traffic coming from Aurora DB itself or MySQL, which is there. Okay. Why do we need 3306 to be open for RDS? For EC2? Because ultimately the firewall of the EC2 of this particular EC2 will not allow, if will not allow 3306 port, then the machine will be, the RDS will not be able to talk to the machine, right? So if this is a EC2 machine, there's a security group across the EC2 machine. RDS is there, relation database is there. It will talk to this particular via 3306 port. And ultimately, if it is not able to communicate, then it's a big problem. No, we have to allow 3306 port in this particular security group that is required. Okay. Yes. Now I will be selecting my security, the same security group which I have created up. I will be selecting that security group. Okay. Yes, absolutely. Okay, Janata. I will scroll down. It comes with 30 GB by default. So 30 GB storage will be coming up because Windows is little bigger operating system. That's the reason you get 30 GB. But if I would have used Ubuntu or any Linux based kernel, then I would have received 8 GB only here. But for now, I'm showing you on Windows because I think Windows, you have never seen how we can connect to the Windows machine till now. So I will be showing you on Windows once so that you will have a pretty good idea how does a Windows even looks like. So I will be launching an instance here. Okay. So simple, everything remains the same. The only difference is Windows machine. Okay, in Windows, in the AMI, I need to select Windows. Second difference which will come up is, okay, Windows is connected via RDB, which is remote desktop protocol. Remote desktop protocol. Whereas Linux machines is connected via SSH, which is secured shell connection. That thing you need to remember it. Windows, we are using RDB, and in Linux, we are using SSH. I will go to EC2. With the DevOps, no, we automate all these things actually. This complete process which I'm telling you, no, it's automated with the DevOps. Now, we can select it. We can select the instance here. We can say we are using a production app machine. This is in the running state. I can connect. So I will be selecting the machine first of all, and we will be clicking on this connect button. You cannot connect via browser on the Windows based machine. Okay. So I will recommend, please do not use your office laptop to perform this lab. Now click on this connect button. Select this machine. Click on this connect button here. There is a RDB client. Click on the RDB. We are going to connect it via RDB, remote desktop protocol. I will download. Now I will be connecting using RDB client. I will download the remote desktop. Okay, the RDB file. So I will be just selecting the machine. I will click on the connect. There I will go to this RDB client, remote desktop protocol client. I will connect using RDB client first of all. Now here, when we download it, you will see production app machine.rdb will be downloaded. Now, if I open this also, there's an option to connect to this particular machine. So I will be connecting. I will just repeat it and show you again. See, what we have done is, we have this machine which is there. Okay, I will be selecting this machine first of all. Then I will be clicking on this connect button. I will click on this connect button. There I have RDB client, which is there, remote desktop protocol client, which I have it in here. Okay, wherein I will connect using RDB client and download your remote desktop protocol RDB file. There is a file which will be downloaded in your machine. You just need to open that file. And here it will ask you for the password. Like, but which password? Till now, we have not generated any password. So when you scroll down, you will have an option of getting a password. You will have an option of getting a password, wherein when you upload the key pair, you will be able to generate password. Okay, you will be able to generate the password when you click on this get password option. So I will be going and clicking on this get password option here. And we have an option of uploading the private key, which means I can upload the key pair, which is there. So when I click on this upload key pair, this is a key pair I have created up. I downloaded that key. By default in my system, it downloads in the download folder only. So that's the key. I just need to upload the key pair, which I have created while creating this Windows machine. So I will click on this upload a key pair. This is a key which we created while creating the machine. Normally, you might have practiced it multiple times by now. So the key though, you might know how to create it up. So I'll just need to upload that key here. Okay. Yes, Roshan. Okay. It's the same key which is being downloaded in my laptop 8 minutes ago when I created the machine. This was the key which was being downloaded. I can simply decrypt the password. So now the password is coming in front of me. Now I can copy this password and paste this password here. That's it. I need to select the machine, click on connect, go to RDB client, click on download remote desktop file. The file would be downloaded. Open that. It will ask you for the password. You can click on the password here. You can upload your key pair. And when you upload the key pair, password will automatically be generated for you. And this password you can copy and paste it here. And then click on OK. It will ask you, do you trust this key? Yes. I'm connecting to the machine. Click on OK. Yes. Now, in this, I need to install a software named as SQL Workbench. This is my machine. Okay, this is the machine which is there. I'm inside the Windows machine. Isn't it wonderful? This is a machine. I'm inside the machine. It's same as your normal machine. Okay. So here I will install a software named as SQL Workbench. And via this software, okay, so inside this machine, I will install this workbench and I will connect it to the RDS. I will be connecting it to the RDS server, which is a relation database via the endpoint and username and password. So we will connect. Okay, we will install the SQL workbench. You can mention it in your notebook in Windows machine, which we have created. Which we have created and connect it via RDS. Connected via endpoint and username and password of RDS, which we have set it up. So this is what we are going to do. Let's see how we can connect and how we can work on it. So I will double click on this Microsoft Edge here. Normally, the way you do. Okay, if I sign in to sync data, it will ask me to log in. I will like to sign up without the data. Sync. Continue without this data. I don't want to sign in. Exactly. Okay. Now I will open Google. Google.com. Okay. When I open this google.com, I have an option of installing Workbench. Workbench for Windows. I will share you the documentation for Linux also. Okay. So download MySQL Workbench. This is a download link. I put it in the chat as well. And I will click on this download button. So I don't want to log in, but I say no, thank you. Just start my login. Start my download. Okay. Now my workbench is now installed. I will open it. Click on next, next, next. No changes, and I will be installing the workbench. Okay. So when I finish it, since this is enabled, it will launch the workbench for me. So click on this finish button. Should launch it, right? Workbench. Let's run it. Okay. Okay, it's launched. I've launched it twice. Okay. Now this is a workbench. Now no one will teach you all these stuff, okay, how to connect it. Just I want to give you a real-time experience that how does it look like. That's the reason. You don't have to learn any MySQL. No, it's not required. It's completely taken care by developers. Even this part will be taken care by developers only. You just have to configure it, share the endpoints with the developer, and your work is done. But here you will be now, like developer will come up here, open MySQL workbench and click on this plus sign. Plus sign is like connect to my or establish a new connection. So I have installed it in the machine and I will connect. Okay. So here you will click on this plus sign. Okay. You will be clicking on this plus sign and it will ask you for the connection name. Like what type of connection you want will be coming under the connection name. So I say that, okay, my first, or I can say production DB or prod DB connect for front end. Any name you can give it. It's not specific that you have to give this name. I have been giving such a name, so that's the reason I'm using it. In my case, we also put up the ID. The task is assigned to us on Jira. Okay, we assign the task. Now, so I assign the task. I don't get the task, but yes, we assign the task on the Jira and the person have to put the Jira ID also, which task that person is working on. So that later on, if someone wants to refer what exactly this task is, so that person can look at the Jira task which is being assigned. It's a software. It's a DevOps tool. Connection method is TCP IP. This is a connection method which we are using. Host name would be my endpoint. So here, host name would be the endpoint. RDS database endpoint, which is there. We are going to connect by this is a default port. This is the default port. Whatever port you want to connect to, you can select it. Username would be the username which we selected or username of the database which we selected while creating user. Like we can store in the vault the password would be like password would be the password which we would be the password. Okay. Which we have set. Okay. And we will click on this test connection to see if the connection is happening up and then we can simply click on OK. So I will put the endpoint here. Here you will see the endpoint. So if you go to RDS, I will show you from beginning. If you go to the RDS, where you got the connection name from RDS? You're talking about this connection. It could be anything. Gopal. I can write Gopal also. It could be any name. Okay, it could be any connection name. Okay. So I will click go to RDS here. I have a database instance which is being running up. I will click on this MyDB instance and here you will see the endpoint. Now that an endpoint will, you just need to copy that endpoint. You can simply copy paste. Okay. Here it will be pasted. You can just simply paste that endpoint. Now username is basically okay. Username would be the one which we have created while creating the user. Admin and this is a password which I have set. So admin is a username and the password is this. So you have to remember it. If you forget it, it's very big problem. So you have to use the username and this is the password which I will select it. I used to write it because I'm really bad at remembering the password. Click on OK. Click on OK. Okay. So I just need to store in the vault and I will just put the password there. Okay. I just need to put the password. When I click on the store in the vault, I just click the put the password, which I have set it up while creating the database. If you remember, I have created the username and the password and I have put it here. I have set it up here itself. Now, when I click on OK, or when I click on this test connection, it should give me a success message. If you are getting an error, there is a probability that you might get an error here. There's a huge probability. Then how to troubleshoot it? What would be your points? How you will do it? So first thing which you will go is you will check the security group. You will first check the security group of machine if you have created different security group of your machine and RDS, the database. Both we have created a security group. In the machine, we should have HTTP. HTTP is not required now. So it should have, like, without HTTP, though you will not be able to install this MySQL workbench only. But yeah, fine. Okay. So we should have RDB, remote desktop protocol, and we should have MySQL Aurora, which is 3306. Here it should have MySQL Aurora on 0.0.0.0/0. Here also 0.0.0.0/0. That's one of the things. Second thing is, which is there, most of the times, 99% of the time, the issue is with the security group only. Second thing, you will see if there's a compatibility issue. You don't go with my spellings, okay? Compatibility issues is there. So when I say compatibility issues, it is basically the issues. Let's say if you're using some MySQL latest version, MySQL that supports, but some software sometimes what happens is this MySQL workbench is not matching up, or it does not support some latest or some old versions of the database which you're using. In that case, you have to change the software. So majorly these two could be the major problems. But if you encounter anything, you can reach out to me and I will guide you and help you out there. Now, at this point, you will click on OK and click on OK. You are connected. You will be connected. This is my database and I can write some queries. My database, my developers will be writing some queries and would be able to perform the task. Okay. Now, if you want to write some queries also, you can go to W3 schools. You want to learn it. Like when I started my career, I have learned it from here only. That time we didn't have the Ad Eureka and all those stuff. So I learned it from here. If I want to create a table, you can create a database, you can create a table. All these things you can do it. For now, we don't have to worry about it. And it's even not being required as a solution architect to learn this stuff. You got it till this point, you have understood. Please confirm first to me. Okay, this is first thing. Here I'm using Aurora DB, okay? So it's done a little differently. So practice it. In Linux, how does it work? That also I'm putting up here. Both the notes I'm putting up. Okay, so that you have that complete understanding about the concepts. When you practice it, you have everything ready for you. You don't have to look here and there. I personally feel the notes is something which is really makes a lot of difference to any learning experience. Okay. So RDS, all the nodes are there. Okay. Go to relation database, go to RDS, create a database, standard create. All the things are there. Even multi-AZ, I have explained here. Okay, primary database not working and all those stuff is being present up. Okay, everything is being present. See, you have to use workbench. See, even how to search it is also, I have put it. I put the link also. And if you scroll down, you have to where you need to click any name, endpoint of connection, username and the password, test connection, everything, whatever you will need is being present up here itself. I hope you are able to understand the and grasp the concept. Now, okay, if you go to actions, okay, what you can do is you can create a read replica also. Now, what is a read replica? See, let's try to understand what is a read replica here. We just have 7 minutes. So I will just take up at this concept. Read replica. Now, what is a read replica is? As a name, what do you think is the meaning? Do not worry, I will leave you at 9. Okay, I know you have to go to the offices. I have to also rush to office. I have to reach office by 9:45. So yes, I have to get ready within this time and I have to be in the traffic for 20 minutes. But yeah, so can you tell me what is a read replica? Yes, read replica allows you to create one or more read-only copies of your primary database engine. Okay, it allows you to create one or more read-only copies. Read-only copies, okay, of your primary DB instance. See, what happens is, I will take a simple example to make you understand this thing. Okay. See, what used to happen is, let's say I have a RDS database. Okay, I have a RDS database, which is there. Now, okay, wherein, let's suppose we have a RDS, which is where my database is present now. Now, there is a lot of traffic which is coming up. Like I have a lot of pressure on this database. There's a lot of read and write is happening from the application. I am a owner of, let's say, Google. Now in Google, you can think how many people are using Google at a point of time. So there is a lot of read and write operations which happens on this RDS database. Okay, a lot of read and write operation happens. Now my database is already occupied there. Okay, now yes, you can do that. Okay. Now, okay. Now, what we need is, let's say I hired a different company. I hired a company which need to do analytics. Analytics on this particular database. I will take an example. Let's say this is a Walmart application. Walmart DB database is there. Okay. Like I worked for Walmart very long, like around 10, 12 years back. So that time I was not at that level. So I didn't work on that part, but now I can understand how they would be doing it. So at that point of time, at this point also, they might be using this. So they hired, let's say, a company which is like into analytics. Okay. Now, what they are doing is this analytics company, they also they will do some read operations on from this database. They need to analyze, right? I will take an example. What they will analyze is, I want to filter all the people. I want to filter all people who tend to buy, baby products. Baby products. Like the people who are recently buying the this like couple kind of products, like which couples buy. Now it's a tendency, right? In future, they might be buying some baby products. So I need to target in that way only. So this kind of models we create, this analytics team creates, so that it's a proper marketing campaigns can be done. It should not be like a person who is a bachelor is getting a baby products message. It does not happen in that way. Okay, a person who is like a person who is 60 years of age is getting a product which a 20 years man or woman use. It does not happen in that. So there's a proper analysis that is being done on the database. We also filter or take care of some old data and we analyze that data and we create some models. For that, we need to do a lot of read operations on the database. Now, in such situation, lot of times the problems comes up because there's an overload which happens up here. And this database, when we increase the size, there's a lot of cost which I need to pay. So what I do is in such situation, since this is not something which is very urgent or that need to be done on a very immediate basis, what we do, we create a read replicas. We create a read replicas here and we give them the read access. We give them the read access. Your understanding, please confirm. We give them the read access. So read replicas basically, and now it's in the real time. It's a real time replica. Now the overload will be reduced in my primary database. The overloading will be reduced in my primary database, and other teams which are working, they will work on this. Whatever task they want to do, they will do that specific task here itself on the real-time replica, read replica. And this is now overloading is reduced here. And other tasks, whatever is happening up in my internally in my company, or if I hired another company, whatever task they are doing on my database will happen here in the real-time read replicas. So this will allow you to create one or more read-only copies of the primary database. And this is one of the case study I have told you, which we use it in the real time. I think that would be all, guys. Okay. I will not spend more time. Thank you. Thank you for staying. You can terminate your database. Please do not just keep it like that. You need to delete it. Databases, you can go to the database, select it, actions, delete the database. Do not create a snapshot. But yeah, if you create a snapshot, what will happen is a backup of your database is being created up. And from that snapshot, you can relaunch a database. Okay. I don't want to do that for now. I will acknowledge it and I will write delete, or I will just create a snapshot and delete it. Yes, it works for the asynchronous replication. Yes, Roshan, absolutely. Okay. And also I will terminate this machine. I hope you have understood. Thank you for your time, guys. I'm really sorry it's 9 now. You can leave for the day. Thank you. Thanks. Think a link for the notes I will share you. Here you will see RDS state. Okay. Hmm.